Okay, so different things that I'm going to start to think about when I'm getting into my marketing activity is I'm going to need to do some initial research to sort of find out what it is that we're going to need. And the first thing I need to do is to get a good stock of where we are. All right, so before we go out and start undertaking an activity, we need to start looking at our business really from three different directions. And the first one is I need to start thinking about my funding. So how much money do I have? What are my financial resources? How much money am I likely to want to spend? Which comes down to how much I want to spend versus how much I have available, can be two different questions. The next thing is if I don't necessarily have the resources available for my funding, where am I going to get those resources from? Okay, so where can I chase up additional funds, etc., or where can I free up money elsewhere in my business to allow me to make the decisions I want to make? Now, one of the things I'm then going to have to pay for with that funding is I need to think about my staff and my human resources, which means that I need to spend a little bit of time thinking about, well, who do I have available? Who can help me? Who's available in the organization? But more to the point, also, what skills do they have? What are their preferences? What's their availability like? How much is that going to cost me? Are they a high expense staff member, like we're paying them a large amount per hour? Or can I achieve the same result by maybe prioritizing down and getting some of my lower priced or cheaper staff by the hour to get them to do the work instead? So it comes down to really balancing those things out. And the last thing I need to start to consider also is my technology needs. So once again, what technology do I have available? So what hardware do I have? What software do I have? Do I have accounts on certain software sites? What's going to go into that? Do I need to buy advertising space? Is there something I need to get in order to make sure that I can do what I need to do? Okay, so if I'm a new business, I might have computers, internet, software, etc., but I don't have a website yet. Okay, so I need to start thinking about, well, what are my requirements going to be if I'm going to undertake certain marketing activities? What do I have available to help me achieve that? And then what new technology might be either there that I can purchase now or that I need to consider for a purchase in the future? All right, which once again comes back down to having the funding to do so. And then once I get that piece of technology, are my staff able to then utilize and use it, or do I then have a training gap? Okay, no point getting the best newfangled technology, it's amazing, does everything, if no one knows how to drive it. Okay, so I'm always thinking about these three things and how I'm going to balance those out to achieve the objectives of the campaign that I want to set off, or more to the point, the activity that I want to undertake. So prior to getting any resources, a couple of different things I need to research and understand. So the few things I need to understand, the first thing I need to look at is, well, if I'm going to get something or I want to use something, what's its purpose? Okay, in any resource that I want to track, whether it's a person, the staff, or additional money, the first question I need to always have is, well, what's the purpose of getting this resource? Okay, so why am I doing it? The next one is there any special needs? Okay, so are there any special needs that I need to concern myself with regard to obtaining it or implementing it? Okay, so if it's a new software program that I want to buy, it's great technology, new software, it's amazing, but I don't have the hardware to run it, or it needs a team to come out and roll that out for us. Okay, so I might be able to buy it today, but it's going to take 2 months before the installation team come out. Okay, so I need to think about any special needs there about getting it. So how do I get it? Is there any concerns about getting the item? And also about how we can then implement the item. Is there specific staff training that needs to happen before those people are then able to use the new technology platform? In getting the funding, is there something else that I need to think about, that there might actually be an application process to obtain funds, and that might take a significant amount of time before that money arrives? And when the money does arrive, is there any other contingencies that I need to think about there that I need to be reporting weekly, monthly, or doing anything like that? The next thing I need to think about is organisational. Okay, I need to think about the organisation that I work for or work with and think about their compliance needs. Okay, so I need to comply with any organisational policies that we might have. There could be already a set business plan that's in place and I can't go outside the budgets allocated. There might be a workplace health and safety consideration there as well. I need to think about, making sure that I have the right number of staff. I can't leave, one staff member somewhere or whatever it happens to be. But I need to think about the compliance from the organisation I work with. Are there any rules, regulations, codes of practice, or anything like that, or even policy and procedure that the organisation has that says how I need to do that? Now, I know as a bank manager, I couldn't just walk out and get staff whenever I wanted to. Okay, I couldn't just overdraw an account. I needed to actually put that up through up through my management and request it if I needed it. So if I needed to go over budget on something, I couldn't just merely make my own decisions, or if I needed additional staff, I couldn't hire who I wanted. There was a policy and procedure about how that needs to occur. Same, the technology platform. I was working for a large organization. They tell me what technology platforms I am allowed to use, and more to the point, how that needs to be installed. So I can't just go out and get software from wherever and start sticking it on a bank's computers. No, they would get a little bit upset by that, and that would really upset, just no, don't do it. All right, so make sure that you're cognizant of anything there. Is there a compliance need that you have there? The other thing you might look at is the quality and quantity. So can I get the resource to the right quality level? Okay, so is it actually going to achieve what I need it to achieve? Is it robust and good enough to fit in what I need? And that also comes down to people as well. So what are the quality of staff I need? Do I just need someone to stand on a street corner handing something out? In which case, look, I can get just about anyone to stand there and just hand out a sample. But if I need to engage in lengthy conversation with potential future customers, then I need some higher quality staff with some great skills. But then comes the question of, can I get them in the sufficient quantity that I need? If I need 50 people like that, well, if there are 50 people to hand out a brochure, that might be pretty easy. But it might be hard to get 50 people that are very skilled at doing a particular thing. So I always need to think about that in my planning and saying, can I get the right quality of staff or technology, but can I also get it in the quantities that I require in order to make it worthwhile? If I can only get 4 or 5 people and I need 50, well, I've sort of wasted my time. There's no point. I probably need to start thinking about coming up with a different option. Leading on to that is my suppliers. Okay, I need to think also about considering my suppliers. Can they supply me on time? Can they supply me with the volumes that I require? Can they supply me at the right price? Do they understand my needs? Are they communicative? If I'm going to get resources from someone, what if I end up with more resources than I need? Does the supplier have a capacity for me to return things I don't use? Particularly for things like, it could be technology. If I buy 30 computers and then realize 3 days later, actually I needed 10, can I give some back? So really understanding that supply, the availability of the supplier. Can I just go down to are they down the street? I can just go pick it up, or do things have to be shipped to me? Okay. That then leads into timeframes. Okay, so that is pretty much that. That can be, if I'm looking at the suppliers, it might be, well, how long is it between I order and I receive? How long is that space going to take? How long is it going to take to give things back if I need to, whatever. But also I need to think about, if I'm looking at something like staff, I need to go through a recruitment process as well. So it's not just getting them to me, it might be getting them into the organisation, which meant having to hire them, which meant going through that whole back process as well. So there can be a whole lot of stuff involved. To get a staff member from, I have a vacancy, to in front of me, in a fairly complex environment, it can take 6 months. Okay, so if I'm thinking I need key staff, as I say, the guy standing on the street handing stuff out, I can probably grab one of those in a couple of days. That's easy. Put it on Facebook. Hey, I need some people who wants to earn $50. But if I want a really skilled staff member, I'm going to have to spend a lot of time really drilling down and getting a hold of that resource. So I can't have a short-term activity plan if I don't have those key people already on deck. So I need to think about that. The other thing is the use of the resource. Okay, so when I'm thinking about how long I need to use the resource for, that's going to be the next question. So now that I have a resource, how long do I need to hold on to it? Am I looking at hiring this person for a week, a month, a year? Because that's going to really determine the relationship I'm having with them. If I'm looking at picking up a particular piece of technology, well, how long do I want to have that for? Okay, great technology might be fantastic. I might buy top of the line now, but what happens in a year or 2 years or 3 years? Am I buying something for a long period of time? Or can I just get something just to tide me over for the time being? Okay, get a little bit less because you're only going to use it for a short time. If I'm going to spend a lot of money, I want to actually get the most use out of it. There's no point in me just short time, short expenditure. The other thing about funding is the time I'm using the resource, because remember, if I'm borrowing money particularly, that's going to have an interest, or that's going to be worth more over time. I need to think about how the funding is going to go there, and also where's it coming from. Right, so there's a whole bunch of different resources we need to look at. We really need to think our resources through very carefully at the beginning planning stage, so we know exactly what's going to happen when and where, so that we don't find ourselves getting caught short very dramatically halfway through and then losing heaps, all right? Plan carefully at the beginning, inventorize, find out what you got, really think through the whole process, determine what you think you're going to need, make sure you got a little bit of buffer there in case, just in case, and that should start to get you on the process of getting ready to undertake your marketing activity.